Thank you for having me. Okay, so two women go to see their doctor with complaints of shortness of breath. The first woman is examined for 23 minutes. The second woman, 13 minutes. The first woman's doctor did preliminary testing, then ordered more invasive tests and referred her to specialists for further investigation. The second woman's doctor only did preliminary testing and made no referrals or further testing. Does anybody have any guesses on what the difference was between these two women? Yes.
Race.
Race, that's definitely a good guess. Any others?
Insurance.
Insurance, okay. Age, okay. Perfect. Yes.
Symptom or problem?
Symptom or problem, okay. Yes.
The woman advocating and asking for more tests.
Okay, yeah, so she was kind of letting the doctor in the show, okay. These are all really good guesses. The difference was the second woman had a body mass index of over 35. She was told her shortness of breath was due to her obesity and that she needed to lose weight. Now, does this situation surprise you at all? No? Does part of you think like, well, that makes sense. She's probably not healthy. No? Well, if part of you is thinking that, you're not alone, because there is a common perception in the US that an individual is automatically unhealthy if they're in a larger body. And is also a perception that they are the sole problem and the solution to their weight. Now I'm here to kind of alter that perception for you, to encourage you to see more than size when it comes to health, to encourage you to advocate for an end to weight stigma and weight bias. I truly believe that in order to create healthier communities, blame and shame related to obesity need to end, and solutions need to be found to change our food and wellness culture. Because after all, if you change your perception, you can change your world. So to help accomplish this, I will review the history of the body mass index. I will talk about its limitations. I'll bring up societal stigmas that ignore changes in society and our biological norms. I'll address the dangers of shaming individuals for their weight. I'll give you 5 tips to improve your health. And then finally, I'll leave you with a challenge. So how did we start putting ourselves into categories based on our weight? Well, in the 1800s, a Belgian statistician, Adolphe Quetelet, in his quest to find the average man, collected data from men of various ages on their height and weight, and then created a formula. Now then in the 1950s, another statistician who was also the VP of Metropolitan Life Insurance started categorizing people based on their height and weight. And then finally in the 1970s, a physiologist, Ansel Keys, developed on this work. He coined the term body mass index using the Quetelet formula. And he used it to analyze a study of about 7,000 men. So none of these men were in the medical field. It was originally used for research purposes. And Keys himself said that he did not intend for it to be used for medical use. However, today, it is known as a way to measure risk of certain diseases. It's on most electronic medical records. It is used to get certain surgeries approved and even certain treatments for certain illnesses approved by insurances. The World Health Organization in the 1990s used the body mass index to put people into these categories. So their categories were underweight, normal weight, pre-obese, which is now overweight, and then 3 classes of obesity. Now, the National Institute of Health in the US also used the body mass index to classify normal weight. It did not quite align with the World Health Organization's, but in order to be more the same, they adopted the World Health Organization's classification. So literally people in the US went from being normal weight to overweight, overnight. Okay, so are there many limitations in using BMI? So first, the BMI has kind of been known as like our authority in how to measure our fatness. However, fat is not considered in the equation whatsoever. It is strictly just your weight in kilograms divided by your height in meters squared. So it might be a surprise to you, but many individuals who have a low body fat percentage but actually have a high muscle mass can be considered obese. In fact, many professional athletes are technically considered obese. Also, body fat percentage is not necessarily the whole story either. If you notice, Quetelet and Keyes, their research was only done on men. Okay, so this is important when you think about the disease risk factors for women. Also, it was done on men of Caucasian and European descent. So it also puts into perspective the assessing disease risk for people of other cultures. So now women tend to have a higher body fat percentage than men. However, this is mostly subcutaneous fat, which means fat under the skin. And it's often in women found kind of lower body, hips, butt, thighs, that kind of thing. Men, while they might have a lower body fat percentage, tend to have more visceral fat, which is fat that surrounds your organs. And it tends to be found in your abdominal area. And this type of fat is a known risk factor for cardiovascular disease, regardless of your BMI. So there have been also studies using ancestry markers and found positive associations between certain ethnic groups, BMI, and percent body fat. So some cultures might naturally have a higher BMI and a higher body fat percentage, but have lower disease risk, while some might have a lower body fat percentage, lower BMI, but higher disease risk. So these studies have illustrated the differences in BMI between various ethnic groups and sexes, and support needing a new, more accurate and inclusive index for measuring obesity, disease risk, and mortality. When studies were done comparing men and women, they found that women in all BMI categories had a lower rate of cardiovascular risk and mortality. So that again shows that it's not all about BMI. There's also a considerable percentage of individuals who are overweight and obese who are metabolically healthy, and non-overweight individuals who exhibit metabolic and cardiovascular risk factors. So this again challenges our weight-based stereotypes. So weight stigma assumes that obesity is caused and maintained by the individual, and stereotypes these individuals as lazy with a lack of willpower. However, advances in technology and manual labor have created many opportunities for us, have progressed our society in many ways, but also has lowered our total energy expenditure. So now if you think about it, many more jobs are sedentary. The way we get from one place to another has changed. The way we find our food, purchase our food, cook our food, and eat our food has all been altered. This has made it more difficult to maintain a healthy lifestyle. So prices of calorie-dense foods have dropped in comparison to prices of fresh fruits and vegetables, fish, and dairy items. So there are obviously complex societal and environmental conditions that have helped create obesity. We need to address individual behaviors are largely shaped by their environments. So the blame and solution cannot be solely on the individual. Can anyone give examples of how they feel like their environment has changed related to like food or activities from when they were growing up? I know for me, I kind of grew up, I guess, before cell phones were super common. Yeah, and like screens and stuff. So I know we were always outside playing when we were young. A lot. My mom stayed home at various points, so a lot more home cooked meals. Anyone else? Yes.
There's a lot of sugar and corn syrup in supermarket products and
Yeah,
things
so
you wouldn't think about, like bread and tomato sauce.
yeah, a lot more like processed foods.
I feel like from when I was younger, I was outdoors a lot more, but our food, we were broke, so it was not the best food.
Yeah.
Cabbage over rice, beans and rice, little stuff that a lot of people don't really care about, but it's, necessities. But relabeling and repackaging and renaming things doesn't make it different than the original stores, and that's what I've noticed mostly.
Okay.
Is whoa, we got caught, now we gotta call it something else.
Yeah.
Derivatives or
Yeah.
ingredients,
Yeah.
I know, before I moved here, I was like in a southeastern city, so it was mostly like walking.
Oh, okay.
Like, oh, yeah, no, I can come here and be cool. And then like, I knew like the first couple of months just be sitting in a car driving.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, what?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
not being
Phoenix is definitely a driving city. Unfortunately, I wish there was better transportation. Anybody else?
One example that I think of is just this past week, I was late to the Suns game.
Uh-huh.
And so instead of just like walking really fast or running, I grabbed a Lime scooter.
Oh, yeah.
I
I haven't used one. I'm kind of scared of those. Were you going to say something?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say, we lived in Europe for a bit.
Okay.
And over there, everything, they have these daily farmers markets.
Yes.
Literally farm to table.
Yeah.
Like, and it's so easily accessible. And then
Yeah.
we moved back here, and it's really just, unless you go to like Fry's, where you're not really,
Yeah.
everything's preserved. And
Right. Yeah, I was in Greece over the summer, and they have a huge market that literally feeds like all of Athens practically, and it's all fresh foods, usually local foods, and it's open every day. So it was so easy to find whole foods. Okay, yeah, those are great points. So weight loss is strongly encouraged and celebrated for many individuals. Now, I might say something controversial here, but Americans don't actually have a problem losing weight. Most people have probably experienced some type of weight loss in their life or know somebody else who's gone through some weight loss transformations in their life. Does anybody want to share if they have experienced this type of thing before?
Yeah, like doing like a cleanse,
Okay.
like a 9-day crazy cleanse.
Did you lose weight from it?
Yeah,
Yeah. Did you keep that weight off?
no.
Exactly, yeah. So we're actually pretty good at losing weight. The problem is maintaining that weight loss. And now part of this is due to difficult, nutritional interventions that are hard to adhere to, or physical activity interventions that are, again, hard to adhere to. But part of it is actually our biology. So when somebody loses a significant amount of weight, their metabolism actually lowers. Hormones that affect hunger increase, while hormones that affect fullness decrease. So an individual who's gone through a significant amount of weight loss technically then is going to feel hungrier more often, have a harder time getting full, and then they're able to maintain their weight at a lower calorie level than somebody of the same exact size who has never experienced that weight loss to begin with. In a review of 80 weight loss randomized control studies, there was no more than 10% of weight loss adhered to after 1 to 2 years follow-up. In fact, weight loss experts in the obesity field concluded that weight regain occurs practically in all behavioral and dietary interventions. So this might seem depressing, but however, 10% of weight loss can actually make huge improvements to someone's health, even if they're still technically considered obese or overweight after that weight loss. So not only is an individual being blamed for their size, but the perception also portrays that shaming individuals about their weight will encourage behavior change and will encourage them to lose weight. Now, this is a very dangerous perception. So contrary to public belief, studies show that weight stigma invokes psychological stress and leads to poor physical health outcomes. It is significant risk for depression, low self-esteem, and body dissatisfaction. So instead of improving health and weight, it actually makes health and weight worse. The psychological effects of weight stigma create chronic stress, anxiety, and negative mood, which are associated with abdominal obesity. These psychological mechanisms from weight stigma increase appetite, blunt satiety systems, increase fat retention, and food intake. So evidence shows that children who are bullied about their weight are likely to binge eat and use unhealthy weight control behaviors. Studies also show adults who experience weight stigma are more likely to binge eat and use unhealthy weight control behaviors. So some evidence points to links between racial discrimination and obesity-related outcomes, including weight gain and metabolic abnormalities. Chronic weight discrimination was related to excess body fat accumulation. Individuals who internalize this stigma are especially at risk to abdominal obesity and glucose intolerance. Now, the healthcare industry is not immune to the weight stigma. In fact, a significant source of weight stigma, which affects individuals' ability to receive appropriate medical care, is from the healthcare industry itself. So research demonstrates negative stereotypes and attitudes towards larger-bodied individuals by healthcare providers and fitness professionals, including that obese patients are lazy, lacking in self-discipline, dishonest, unintelligent, annoying, and non-compliant with treatment. There is research indicating providers spend less time and provide less education to individuals in larger bodies than to their thinner patients. Patients report feeling disrespected, not taken seriously, and blamed for their medical problems due to their weight. This results patients in larger bodies avoiding regular health checkups and not utilizing healthcare services when they are needed. So I remember one of my patients telling me that she had these really painful bumps under her arms, and she went to several doctors, and they all told her that it was related to her weight. She needed to lose weight, then these bumps would go away. One doctor did a more thorough exam and found that she actually had an aluminum allergy that was being caused by her deodorant. So it had nothing to do with her weight. Yeah. And another patient had lost a significant amount of weight throughout her life, and each time there was weight regain after, and sometimes more than she originally lost. So this led to eating disorder behaviors. She was feeling frustrated and wanted an alternative. However, her doctors always told her to lose weight. One doctor even said if he locked her in a room and didn't feed her for days, then she would lose weight. Finally, another patient who suffered from severe anorexia lost a significant amount of weight very quickly. Her starvation and dehydration was causing seizures, electrolyte imbalances. She was passing out regularly, unable to do simple activity, and incredibly depressed. She was congratulated for her weight by the nurses at her doctor's office, and she even told the nurses that she had an eating disorder, and they commented wishing that they had that problem. So she said to me that this only made her want to keep her eating disorder going and made her want to continue her path of starvation and self-torture. So were any of these comments helpful? Did the shame from the doctors or praise from the nurses regarding body size improve any of the patient's health? How can we encourage healthy behaviors without focusing on weight? So for starters, we need to stop being so obsessed with weight and size. If you or someone you know wants to improve their health, focus more on behaviors instead of solely the scale. There are certain behaviors that everyone can do to improve their health, even if their weight doesn't change. And here are my tips. So for starters, increase your daily activity. Find more places to walk to instead of drive. Use stairs instead of elevators. Choose a parking spot further away. Take 5-minute walks after your meals. Increase your fiber intake. So fiber is going to be found in your plant foods, fruits, vegetables, beans, legumes, nuts, seeds, whole grains. Fiber helps improve blood sugar control, also helps with lipid levels, decreases your risk for colon cancer, and helps make you feel full. Eat more meals prepared at home. So purchase more whole foods instead of already prepared foods, and learn how to prep and cook these foods. Learn how to eat again. Many people have actually forgotten how to eat because we are so involved with work or the TV or computers that we're so disconnected from our food. So actually sit down at a table, eat your food, and be mindful while eating. Implement an exercise regimen. It doesn't need to be super intense, and it doesn't need to be at a gym. Find some type of intentional movement that you enjoy, and make sure your heart rate gets up enough where you're not able to have like a full-on conversation at the same time. Try to implement this for 30 minutes, 5 days a week. I encourage people to focus on increasing muscle instead of lowering their weight. Our muscle can help our metabolism. Also, it can change your body composition, and it reduces the risks that are related to aging, such as osteoporosis, falls, things like that. So I want you to think about your community. Is it your neighborhood, your friend group, your family, your work community? Is there anything that you can do to improve its health that comes to your mind?
Play more pickleball.
Pickleball, perfect.
You know?
Awesome. Anything else?
I mean, just having events, period.
Yeah.
Invite people to just have a social hour based on, just interacting with each other.
Yeah.
That
Social connection.
exchange improves health
Mhm.
dramatically.
Definitely. Yeah, so you can start a walking group, start a biking, hiking, running group if you want. Try to do maybe like a community garden. Take turns hosting dinners where the meals are homemade instead of going out to restaurants. Those are all different things you can do potentially in your community to help increase its health. So I have a challenge for you. At your next social gathering, or it could be today, try not to compliment or comment on anyone's body. Even if your intention is to be nice, try it again to compliment someone based on their actions. I encourage you to stop weight stigma when you see it or if you experience it, even at your doctor's office. I hope this presentation has made you feel more optimistic about achieving health goals without relating to your health, to your size or weight. Now I will take any questions or comments that anyone would like to make regarding this information.